Why is organization in the Black community important in your opinion?
That's an excellent question, Brother Joseph. Our great leader, organizer, and Jegna, the most honorable Marcus Garvey said that disorganization is the chief enemy of Negro people. You know, they used the word Negro back then. So,
Right, right,
um, and I have to tell you, in my 50 years on this planet, the more I live, the longer I observe, the more I go through. I say that brother was right. They kill us with organization on their end and gross disorganization on our end. I'm talking
right,
about from basic, what is your day? What you going to do today? What's your plan to do it? What schedule do you have? Have you even thought about it? On the simplest level, all the way to what's your business plan? What's your organizational plan? What type of children do we want to produce, and what are the parental practices that will create those children? On every level, we suffer from mass disorganization. And it's not that the crackers are better than us, Brother Joseph. They're not smarter than us. They may have a few more resources that they stole from us, but
right.
we have the capability to do whatever we want to do, but we do need to organize it. Now, so that's talking about mental organization. I know I have this paper due in 4 weeks in my college class. Do I start on it the day before it's due? Do I do I start gathering my materials that same day? Do
Right.
I do a little bit every day? So we can look at it on a basic level, or community wide. We can look at it as the difference between those who are in the bar, beauty salon, and barbershop complaining about the atrocities they see perpetrated against Black people versus those people who see those same atrocities but build institutions, man, create
Mm-hmm.
agendas, hold town hall meetings, and organize resources to address the issue. So really, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah,
That's
I
what.
agree. I agree. We're in a unique position here in the state of Florida because we may have the first Black governor.
Mm,
And this governor, he's from Miami, but he's a FAMU graduate and he's worked in the city government for the last 15, 16, 17 years, was just the mayor, has a chance to be the governor. Now, like you were saying, being organized and ready, because if we're not organized, we won't even be able to take advantage or anything, be able to get anything from this governor who's going to be a Black man who's from, quote unquote, from our backyard. And that's one of the main things I was thinking about. And that's why I really want to talk to you about this, because right now in the state of Florida, Black people have a chance to at least get attention, get something. But with the disorganization or the lack of even thinking about being organized, we will just be another state that just had a Black governor. And I don't want to see my people go through that. So what what options or what things in your opinion do you think people could be doing community wise to really get themselves in position to at least get some attention or at least make some type of change from somebody that's going to be in a position that essentially comes from our own backyard?
well, first, Brother Joseph, I would say Black people need to understand what politics really is
Mm-hmm.
and stop
Mm-hmm.
mystifying it and putting all this illusion to it. Our people did not die for the right to vote. That is a myth.
Right. Right.
Historically, in certain historical eras, our people fought and organized for the right to vote because those people felt that voting was a key weapon in our arsenal. But all Black people were not focused on voting. So that's the first thing. Some Black people were talking about using radical speech, radical writing, grassroots politics, coalition building, building cooperative businesses and having an economic engine as a way to rise up out of our enslavement. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to tell people that politics should not come You should not allow people who don't understand something to explain it to you.
Right.
That's gonna
That's
hurt some
basic.
people's
Right.
feelings.
Right.
But you know, when you want to get physically fit, you go to the brother and sister that's going to the gym,
Right.
that knows about it. You don't go to the brother that got the blunt in his mouth and the 40 and is out of shape and can't do 5 push-ups. You're gonna get
Right.
misinformation from them. So the first thing is let's go to correct and credible sources. Politics is not about pulling levers, family. It's not about pushing buttons. The politics begins when an indigenous people meets and develops its own independent agenda. That's politics. They say these are the things that are important to us with respect to health, public safety, culture, education, sanitation, whatever, and economics. And then those people set out to find people in the community who they trust, who have demonstrated consciousness, competence, and commitment to the people, and they vet them to run for an office. That's the first thing. We do it backwards. We let popcorn peanut Negroes and white folk come to us. I'm going to run for this. Well, what have you done? Did you get our permission? Did you get our blessing? We don't even know who you are, right?
Right.
So the first thing is that should be something that we decide in-house. We might say, so now this is our community agenda. We need Black people that's going to get in office and fight to fulfill this agenda. Can the community come up with a list of names of people who've displayed the character and the integrity and whatever to do this? Oh, yeah, I think Joseph Ward. So now we go to Joseph Ward with this agenda. We go to whoever else the community decides with this agenda. And we say, if you're willing to sign off on this agenda and run, you will have our complete community support.
Right.
We don't do it that way, but that to
We
me,
don't.
that's the way it should be done. Secondly, brother Joseph, that's not enough, because if you watch The Godfather 1 and 2, this is going to hurt more people's feelings. You're going to understand what politics really is. Politics requires you to roll up your sleeves and be prepared to threaten the safety, the image, the finances, and disrupt business as usual in
Right.
order to get the things you want. And if you're dealing with a group of people who was taught politics from their social studies textbook in 8th grade, you're not going to get power.
Right.
Study Godfather 1 and 2. The director didn't want to use this dude in his movie, and he refused. It was only when he woke up and the head of his favorite horse was in his bed that he came back and said he has the part.
Yeah.
You understand? We don't have power to threat. You need
Right.
power along with the organizing, the intellectual stuff you're doing. Because people just say, no, we don't want to do that. We don't want to sign these contracts over to you. We don't want to fix your streets. We don't want to improve your schools. We don't want to teach your history or whatever. So what are you going to have in place that makes people say, yo, you know what? I think we're better off doing this, because if we don't do it, the ramifications and repercussions of it is something we don't want to deal with.
Exactly.
I want to also say, Brother Joe, that you never hear Jewish people marching and protesting, writing or speaking about having a Jewish president in office, do you?
Never. Never heard Asians either.
Okay. And there's a reason. That's because they understand that when you really understand power and how it works, and you can organize, you can provide the things you need for your community, and you can threaten the people in power's image, political and business interests. It doesn't matter who the president is. You bend them to your will. You
Right.
know, you create your lobby groups, you throw money at people. We need to be buying politicians.
Right.
But nobody thinks like that. Oh no, we're gonna appeal. No. Politicians are for sale. Buy them like everybody else does.
Right. It's not a moral game
No,
at
sir.
all.
And
At
if we
all.
go into it with this patty cake baker's man approach, we're never gonna be free. You gotta go that with
Right.
money, potential military, potential photos to blackmail people. The dude that's
Right.
banging on homosexuals, we got pictures of him engaged in homosexual acts. That's how
Right.
you get them to do your bidding. And we can see that time and time and time again. Until we develop that type of infrastructure, man, it'll be a joke.
Right. Right. Well, see, that's why I wanted you to come and give that medicine that you're giving, because we're not in a time to have things sugar coated to us. And I've always said it. Even last week, I was going crazy because I knew how we were going to vote. I know we don't understand politics. We are so emotional about it. We're fanatical about it. We don't understand that you have to take the muscle approach. You have to take the approach of power. You have to be able to, but you have to be organized to have power. And the base of it is, if you don't have that structure, you can't build anything else upon that. And if that structure has any weaknesses, you're going to fall, especially when you're dealing with, when we're talking about fighting white supremacy, racism. And these people, you study history, these people are ruthless against themselves. So they don't care about us, and they will destroy us to get what they want. And we have to really be able to understand that. And that's why we need to be organized.
Yes, sir.
So So now, once again, the last time we talked, I remember you telling me a story about how you and people you went to University of Syracuse were able to use the power organization to kind of get the agendas passed that you wanted to get passed. And I wanted to see if you wouldn't mind kind of revisiting that story.
Yes, sir. That we called it Operation Infiltration.
Okay.
And what it was that basically when every student enrolled in a university, they had to pay a student fee, which is 100 or whatever dollars. Now, if you
Hmm.
got a university with 16,000 people in it, that's a lot of money.
Right.
So what would happen is there'd be budget hearings to decide how much of this money each student organization would get. So your budget as a student group came from this big pool of money that came out of every student paying their student fee.
Hmm.
So what was happening is that my organization, the Student African American Society, which was basically the Black Student Union of Syracuse University,
Right.
or at Syracuse University, was constantly being threatened to have our budget frozen, to give us $0 because we were the most militant and radical organization on campus. And this, by the way, was the precedent set before I even came on campus. Okay, so it didn't start with me. I just continued it. And so one year, man, every year we'd be protesting, they'd be having sleep-ins at the budget hearings. We said, you know what, man? We tired of having to protest and all that. Let's look at this differently. So we realized that every dormitory had a certain amount of seats or delegates to the student government, which was like
Right.
Congress. And so we said, wait a minute, we could take this whole shit over.
Hmm.
We don't have to just be boycotting and picketing. So we put something in motion. We went to all the dorms. We rallied the Black people. We met with them secretly. We said, we want you to consider running. Long story short, our Operation Infiltration was successful. We basically ran the whole student government assembly. So basically, we was like having almost an all Black Congress. And these were people who had the right consciousness in place. So we were able not only to give my particular student organization all the money we asked for, but we had secretly met with other Black student organizations and were able to get all of our Black organizations down with our coalition all the money they asked for. And some of the white student groups it was suggested their budgets be frozen. So for the first time, I saw white people protesting, brother,
Right.
upset, and Black people in power. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. We followed the
Right.
process. Follow the process. You see?
Right.
So yeah, that's basically what happened.
Nah, that's cool. But it what once again though, it shows the intelligence of organization and the power of it and why it's needed, rather than us just trying to wing it every time. Because think about it, when something happens to us, our go-to move is a march. And white people know that, white supremacists know that, because heck, they engineered us to behave in these manners. So They understand that when we get mad, we're just gonna march. We might rally. Somebody gonna go on CNN and yell and all those things. But in the end, it's a 2 week flare up. Then everybody goes back to business as usual until it happens again. And then we wonder why our women and children are constantly under attack. There's no consequence to anything happening to us. But to me, that's where organization comes in. Because if certain groups of people know who to mess with, who not to mess with. If you're gonna go after the LGBTQ community, you better be ready to fight. But if you go after the black community, you know you can kick them around. I have a problem with that. You know?
I have a problem with that too, my brother. And speaking of what you said, it really becomes a matter of teaching people what I call strategic intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this means the ability or the extent to which you can make high level decisions or organize several moves ahead without emotion, without ego, and without selfishness. So that is to say, that's just what we did with Operation Infiltration. We had to create a coalition of Black students. We had to train them on what we were trying to do. We had to give them a vision and say, listen, if you guys get in office, we can exert power and we would no longer be begging to get money that we deserve to get.
Right.
But it's so, yes, I agree. Strategic intelligence, playing chess, good brother.
Yes.
We get caught up in ego and who's to speak, who gets to speak in front of the people, who's popular.
Yeah.
But then there's people like myself and you, brother Joe. I don't care who's on TV, man. I want to win, brother. I want a
Right.
championship. I'm tired of seeing us begging and walking around poor and evicted and can't get the things we need, while people who are not better intrinsically than we are chilling. I'm tired of that. So I'm willing to play the back seat. I'm willing to be quiet. I'm willing to play my position so we can win. We have a group of people in leadership who they don't really want Black liberation. They
Right.
want to be seen. They want sexual favor. They want money. You know, I want to win. I want
Yes.
to be free.
Yes. But that goes back to what you were talking about having homegrown candidates, people that the community and the people put into these positions with a specific agenda for our people. Because I'm tired of going to these websites for these people who supposedly fighting for our community. But when you look at their agendas, they can specifically call out immigrants, LGBTQ, women, and all these other specific groups, but then will look you in your face and tell you that they can't specifically help black people. And I'm like, so how does that work? Like, how does that logic even go through your mind unless, oh, you had no intentions of fighting for our community in the first place? It was just fluff. You target us to get what you need, and then you go out and carry out these other agendas. So it goes back to us putting the people in these positions across the board who have our best agenda because we grew these people from the ground up. It was real grassroots work.
Now remember, brother, there's another element I'm putting on the table. And this
Okay.
element, a lot of our people don't like to talk about, but serious study will bear what I'm saying to be true. We
Mhm.
cannot forget the Black underworld's role in this.
Okay.
I'm gonna say that again, because the people gonna be upset with the brother again. It's okay, family. It's all right. I'm used to it. We have to study the historical marriage between the Black political above ground world
Hmm.
and the Black underworld.
Okay.
If we study that, we're going to see Black people couldn't go to banks. Black people didn't have no white philanthropy in the mid 19th century, 18th century. We had to build our own bank. Well, how did we do that? We had the brothers that was running numbers.
Hmm.
We had the sisters and brothers involved with prostitution. This is real talk
Right.
all over the country that would funnel some of that quote unquote dirty money into legitimate organizations. So, for instance, there's a brother named Casper Holstein in Harlem who was a
Hmm.
big time numbers banker, right? He helped bankroll Marcus Garvey's UNIA organization. He helped bankroll the entire Harlem Renaissance and the new Negro movement. Bumpy Johnson would later come and, in similar aspects, throw some of his money and his defense
Right.
in support of people like Paul Robeson or Malcolm X, people that they were trying to gun down. So what I'm saying is, part of our organization has to be with chess. There's 6 different pieces on the board, Brother Joe. We can't just deal with the one piece. We got a whole black underworld that hate the police,
Right.
that are anti-authority, that not scared of their laws, and that are armed up. And some of them have some political consciousness and some money.
Right.
We need to involve that piece as well, all pieces, and
That
don't
makes
just
sense.
shun them.
I mean, it makes sense because when you're, I liken it to when you're watching a movie and they're telling you about the different pieces that they put together to create this army. And it's like a group of mercenaries, or a group of, not necessarily even mercenaries, but a group of people that all of you have a common agenda or common enemy, but you may operate a little different from those people. But since we have this common goal, then hey man, let's work together. We need to work together because we're all going to benefit from this. So I get where you're coming from with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Entertainers, members of our black underworld. In our history, all of these different chess pieces played a part in our movements on the board. And we can't forget these people. The corporate black people that talk like Whitey and got his degrees and wear his clothing and identify with him. Some of them got consciousness.
Right.
So they become our infiltrators. They become the spooks who sat by the door.
Right.
So, our movement and struggle has to be really more sophisticated and less, it's very simplistic. I can't go certain places wearing this, Brother Joseph, and people take me seriously. I can't go certain places and go, you know what I'm saying, fam? Word, yo. So we use people to play their position. And they report back to the community. That's what other people do.
Right. So, well, in that mindset, because this is a question I've been asking myself, and I think you are the perfect person to ask. Because even using that spook behind the door mindset or logic, being able to go into, what's your thoughts about going into other communities and bringing resources back to our community in the best manner to empower our community? Like, what would be the best way to go about that, or even if that's a smart plan to even have?
Absolutely. I think it would help all of us if we thought of this as a wartime scenario. And all nations have spies. All nations have espionage, people who are seeking intelligence, information about what the enemy, what weapons they have, what's their capability, what's their plans, what's their weaknesses, right? And so, yes, we certainly need to have people that have entry or access into these different sites of power coming back and telling us, yo, they got these weapons and these weapons. They're doing this type of training, these are their weaknesses. Yes, we absolutely need that. We got activists, Brother Joe, that go out in the street. They bang on the police. They like F the police and no justice, no peace. But guess what? What if those police start firing on all those activists? What they gonna do? Run? They're gonna run and get shot. They need to be thinking like the Deacons for Defense and Justice, who would form perimeters around people like Dr. King and these nonviolent direct activists, action activists, so that they had some level of protection. But because we're not thinking like chess and using these different pieces, we setting ourselves up for slaughter. Right when the cracker takes the gloves off, man, and starts shooting protesters, then maybe we're gonna see, yo, we need to send these people in with knowledge of the weapons that they're gonna use against them. Are you prepared for that mustard gas when they send it out? Are you prepared for the way they're gonna form and move against you?
Right. Yeah.
Are you prepared? You see, this is what I mean, down to the basic level. And if you're gonna be that type of activist, that means you got to be prepared to deal with everything the enemy is going to bring to you.
Right.
Everything. Legal observers, people there to protect you in case they start shooting. You know, Biggie Smalls said it. Our famous African philosopher, Biggie Smalls, he said in his song, The Warning, there's going to be a lot of slow singing and flower bringing if my burglar alarm starts ringing.
Right.
Very simple. He's giving you an idea that I have set a policy about something important to me. The sanctity and privacy of my home is important to me.